Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to another literature class. Today, we are going to talk about an African novel entitled Unexpected Joy at Dawn. Unexpected Joy at Dawn is written by a Ghanaian novelist, Alex Agiri. We are not going to exhaust this novel today, but we are going to consider three aspects of the work. We are going to see the background, what prompted the author to write this novel. We are going to consider the setting, the temporal and in terms of space. We are going to consider what embodies the setting of the novel. And of course, we'll give a plot summary of the novel. Those are the three preoccupations of this lesson. I would want you to get a copy of this work, read it from page to page, so that as we progress in the discussion, you will have the information in detail. There is no way you would have a vivid understanding of this work without reading the work from the beginning to the end. So at the end of this lesson, it is believed and it is expected that you should be able to understand the background of the novel. You should be able to explain the setting of this novel, and of course, you should be able to summarize the plot of the novel. So that is, these are the things the lesson will capture. Now let's take the first objective. The first objective is for you to understand the background of the novel. Africans relate in many areas. You are an African, I am an African, those who live in Sierra Leone, those who live in Ghana, South Africa, you name the African countries, they relate in many areas. These areas range from social, economic, political, religious, and of course, cultural issues. So there is a bond. There is a thing that holds these African people together. And that is exactly what Chinua Achebe reported in his Things Fall Apart, that the thing that held these people, these African people together, a knife was put into that thing and things fell apart. That is as a result of the advent of colonialism. So once you have this idea that Africans relate in many areas, with the advent of colonialism, these African communities, these African kingdoms were separated, were partitioned into new political entities. Before this time, they were one. But when the colonial masters came, they partitioned this whole into different parts. They segmented them into different kingdoms and they gave them political entities and new entities. You know, once you are segmented into a different or a separate part, you are given a new level. Something that existed as a whole, one before, segmented into different groups and new identities imposed on these people. Now, when these identities were imposed on the people of Africans come to see one another as different. For example, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, the Gambia, you name them. They give these geographical names, to these geographical settings. A particular location is labeled Nigeria. A particular one is labeled Ghana. One is called South Africa. And those who live in South Africa see those who live in Nigeria as a different people entirely. But before this time, it wasn't like that. So when with these new identities, Africans come to see one another differently. As a result of this, unhealthy rivalry ensued. We challenge one another, we compete, for who should be the best. Now, when this unhealthy rivalry ensued between people, political and diplomatic levels, each country strives Each country strives to be supreme. Everybody contests for supremacy. Now, this was the case in Ghana in the year 1969, when they thought that the presence of Nigerians in their country denied them of certain economic opportunities or privileges. And that was what informed them to send Nigerians back to their country. It happened in the year 1969. Nigerians were repatriated from Ghana. Now, in the same vein, during the Segun Shagari-led administration in 1983, Ghanaians were asked to return to their country. You see, before this time, Africans were united. But when the colonial masters came, partitioned these whole into different segments, give them different labels and identities, they tend to see one another as different. And as such, they would want each and every member of their country to utilize the privileges that exist in that country. They wouldn't want any foreigner, I use the word in quotes, any other black that is not from Ghana, who stays in Ghana, is a foreigner. They will not want any other person who is not from that locality, that region, that state or country, as the name, as the case may be a part, to enjoy the privileges of that country. And that was what happened in 1969 when Nigerians were repatriated, were asked to leave Ghana back to their country. And the same thing happens in Nigeria in 1983 when Ghanaians were asked to go back to their countries, and that gave rise to the most famous quote, "Ghana must go." So it is against this backdrop, it is against this background of the destruction of the spirit of Pan-Africanism, the spirit of unity that existed before this time, that Alex Ageyi wrote the novel Unexpected Joy at Dawn. I've given you a very brief background, a summary of what informed the novelist writing of the novel Unexpected Joy at Dawn. This novel was published in 2003, so it is a recent novel, and it goes back in time to capture what happens in 1960s and 1980s respectively. So having said this, we'll take the second aspect of the lesson, the second objective, which is to understand the setting of the novel. Setting has to do with time and place, temporal and the spatial setting. However, I have added another part, which is the social setting. So we are going to consider three aspects of setting in this lesson. First is the temporal, second is the spatial, and of course the third is the social setting. So the novel is set in Ghana and Nigeria. The setting alternates between two countries. Some part of the story is set in Nigeria, and another part of the story is set in Ghana. Then temporarily, the novel is situated in the late 60s and the early 80s. Late 60s as it relates to Ghana, and early 80s as it relates to Nigeria. Now, these were periods of economic adversity and political uncertainties in both countries. Nigeria had its turn in 1983, while in 1969, Ghana had its turn. Things were not very good politically and economically in Ghana in that year, and that gave rise to the repatriation of many a person who was not from that country. And similarly, in 1983, we had some problems with the social and economic status of Nigeria during the Segun Shagari-led administration, and that informed the repatriation of Ghanaians in Nigeria to their country. So that is the temporal and the spacious setting. In terms of space, Ghana and Nigeria. In terms of time, the novel is set in the late 60s and in the early 80s. Now let's consider the social aspect of setting. Socially, the major physical settings of the story: Accra is the capital of Ghana. and Lagos. Before this time, Lagos held the capital territory. Lagos and Accra have shared structures and composition. There are things that are similar between these two cities, these two names, or these two places. Lagos and Accra both have large populations. Those are the things they share in common in terms of the social aspect of the setting. Accra and Lagos have large population of immigrants, persons who come from other places to dwell in that particular place. If you go to Lagos, you would see persons not only from Nigeria, but you have other African countries or even the Westerners. The Western people come to stay in Lagos. The same applies to Accra. Accra, if you go to Accra, you would see people of different ethnic groups. They have large population of immigrants. Accra and Lagos also have high crime rates. A typical example is what Amadako captures in her novel Faithless. A whole lot of crimes happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, the city or the setting of that novel. You would see the crimes that were committed by some people in that novel. So Accra and Lagos have high rates of crime. They have a cosmopolitan outlook, and of course, the people are heterogeneous. Different ethnic groups mixed together. People from different ethnic groups, you can find them in Lagos and you can find them in Accra. So you would see that the two settings, Accra, Nigeria, and Ghana, share some similarities when it comes to the social aspect of setting. So we have talked about the temporal setting, the spatial setting, and of course, the social setting. The temporal, in terms of time, the late 60s and the early 80s. The spatial, in terms of space, we talk about Ghana and Nigeria. Then the social, in terms of what these two cities share in common. Accra and Lagos, I've listed a few of them, that they have large population of immigrants, they have high crime rates, they have a cosmopolitan look, and of course they are heterogeneous in nature because people in these cities are of different ethnic groups. So we will proceed to objective number 3, which is the last for this particular lesson, and that is you should be able to give a summary of the plot in the story. The plot is how events are arranged in the story from the beginning to the end. If the plot is linear, you would see when we talk about the technique used by the author. If the plot is linear, that is sequentially arranged, the events sequentially arranged, you would see. If it is complex, you would see. If the novelist or the author uses the infinite res, that is from the beginning, from the final actions to the beginning to the middle, you would see also when we talk about the techniques used by the author. But for now, it is the summary of the plot that would be given. And you would have a fuller comprehension when you read the novel from the beginning to the end. However, a brief summary would be given. Now, the novel centers on the life of two blood relations. Two persons are portrayed in this novel. The novel evolves around them. One based in Accra, that is Ghana, the other one in Nigeria. These two relations, Moses Ni and Mama Orojo, these are fictitious characters that the author have created. These characters or these blood relations were separated by the official government policy of repatriation. Remember what I gave you, what I said about the background of the novel. The policy of repatriation by the Ghanaian military government in 1969. They were together before this time, but when the Ghanaian government issued the policy of repatriation, they were separated. So the novel centers around these two characters who were separated from each other. Now, these relatives have been separated for 15 years. One remained in Ghana, and the other was repatriated to Nigeria. Now, the title of the novel is justified in this plot. If you listen very carefully, I would mention where the title of the novel is justified. Now, since these persons are separated, there is this tendency to look for the other person. Say two of us stay at the same place, then one is pushed to another part while one remains here. I'll be on the quest for you, and you'll also be on the quest for me. Then when we eventually meet, what happens? We will be gladdened, we will be overjoyed, and that is the unexpected joy we are talking about here. Now, these relatives have been separated for 15 years. One remained in Ghana and the other one repatriated to Nigeria. The one in Ghana is Ni Taki, and she stayed back in Ghana with her grandmother, while the other one, or he stayed back in Ghana with her grandmother, while the other one, Mama Orojo, left Ghana for Nigeria with her parents. But unfortunately, the unfortunate part of their movement is that their parents died on their way to Nigeria. They didn't even arrive in Nigeria when they died. So she was left alone, the only survivor who made it to Nigeria. So young Mama Orojo here is alone in Nigeria, while Ni Taki is also in Ghana. So the quest begins. One from Nigeria would want to go back to Ghana to see or to reunite, and the one from Ghana will want to come to Nigeria to reunite. Now let's see as it unfolds. The one who stays at Ghana, Ni, life gets economically hard for him. He ran into debt in the effort to save his wife, Masa. He got married eventually, and his wife took ill. So he tried all he could to save the wife, and in the process, he accrued debt. But the wife eventually died. So all his effort was in vain. So he thought about going to Nigeria to reunite with his people as the only attractive option for him. The only thing he sees befitting for him to do at that particular point was leaving Ghana and going back to Nigeria to reunite with his people. Remember, one of them is in Nigeria, while he and some other persons remained in Ghana. Now, since he's a man and he has this tribal mark, when you see a Yoruba person, you would know with the marks that he or she would have on the face. If you see the Hausas and the Fulanis, they would always have some tribal marks on their faces. So this character here has some marks on his face. So he believed that with these marks, getting into the system of Nigeria will not be a problem, because he thought that what will allow him to be integrated into the mainstream of Nigerian setting is the marks he has on his face. But this turned out to be a vain confidence, as Nigerian security officials deny him the status of becoming a Nigerian. You know why? If I should ask you. For those of you who have read the work, you would know that he was unable to speak any of the Nigerian local languages. One of the criteria of being admitted into the Nigerian setting is your ability to speak any of the Nigerian local languages. But this is what Ni lacked. He thought that with the tribal marks that he would simply be identified as a Nigerian. But the Nigerian security officials deny him the status of a Nigerian because he was unable. He could not speak any of the Nigerian local languages. He couldn't speak Hausa, he couldn't speak Yoruba, he couldn't speak Igbo, he couldn't speak Ibibio, he couldn't speak any of the languages you can mention. Simultaneously, this thing happens at the same time. This is what happens to Ni, who had traveled to Nigeria to locate or reunite with his people. Then at the same time, Mama Orojo leaves Nigeria for Ghana in search of Ni. It crisscrosses like this. One person from Ghana comes to Nigeria, and the other from Nigeria travels to Ghana in the name of searching for the family members to reunite. So the quest motive is explicitly expressed by the author in this novel. I would go to look for the other part, the other person, and the other person would also come down to this part of the world to look for me. So the quest motive is explicitly expressed. If I ask you to discuss the quest motive in the play, in the story, you would have to read the story, pay attention to details for you to be able to explain this, but I have just given you the hint on how to go about this discussion. So Mama Orojo here leaves Ghana for Nigeria in search of Ni, and at the same time, Ni has left Ghana to Nigeria in search of Mama Orojo. Now, when Orojo here arrived at Ghana, she discovered that Ni has already left Ghana for Nigeria. She couldn't just return almost immediately, but she finds a man she likes. She found someone she loves, and she settled with that person. And the person's name is Joe. Joe in the story deals in in jewelries. He was a prominent businessman. He was rich in the real world, in the real sense of the word. He sells jewelries, all these bangles, beautiful things, gold, diamonds, and you can name them, that women and men use to beautify themselves. So she finds a union with a man named Joe. Then she later returned to Nigeria with her newfound love. Now, somebody here, one person here has traveled almost 2 times, leaving Nigeria to Ghana and leaving Ghana back to Nigeria when she discovered that her brother had left Ghana before this time. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, when Ni is living more or less in slavery, and he is looking for opportunity to reunite with the Orojos, that is the family members. You can guess, why is Ni reported to be in slavery? If I should ask you that question, I am very sure and I'm confident you would give me a befitting answer. The answer is that Ni was not integrated into the system of Nigeria because he could not speak any of the Nigerian local languages. So you can't speak this one, you can't speak this one, you don't understand this one, you don't understand this one. Where will you fit in? So you would work as a slave. He picked up menial jobs. You say, clean this place for a stipend. I don't know whether sometimes you will not even be paid because you are treated as one who is floating. You are sitting on the fence. You don't know whether you belong here, not there. So I would advise you, I'm not saying you should not speak English, but as you speak the English language, also have a knowledge of one local language in Nigeria so that you will not be as Ni, because he was not fitted into any parts of the Nigerian economy. He couldn't speak any of these languages, so he was treated as a slave. He was treated as a stranger, a complete stranger. He lived in the refugee camp. He was not given any accommodation whatsoever. In fact, the Nigerian security officials rejected him at the beginning. So the people also followed suit. So finally, and fortunately for them, they eventually met unexpectedly. Ni and the sister, Mama Orojo, in company with the husband or the person she loves, eventually met themselves. They met one another, and that meeting was unexpected. Ni thought that he is going to go through hell to locate or to find the sister, and Ma Orojo thought also that she is going to go through hell to find the brother Ni. But unexpectedly, as the author will create the story, they met, and that meeting brought joy to these characters. Now you can see how the title of the novel, Unexpected Joy at Dawn, is justified. If I ask you to justify the title in your own way, I believe that with what I have said and your knowledge of the novel itself, you will be able to do even more than I have done. So with this, we can say that we've exhausted the objective of this presentation. The objective where, number one, you should be able to understand the background of the novel, what informs the writing of this novel. And number two, you should be able to explain the setting of this novel in terms of time, place, and the social constituents, which justice has been done to them. And objective number three is to give a plot summary. This is a plot summary. You cannot depend on the summary of this novel to fully understand this novel. Someone may ask, how then will I understand this novel? You understand it when you read the novel in detail. Get a copy of Unexpected Joy at Dawn. Read it and enjoy as you read, so that when we get into the themes, the techniques, and the major events and significance, you would have a fuller grasp of the novel. I would say that I'll draw the curtains here, but before then, let's take the assignment. The assignment slide is displayed on the screen for you. You are to answer all the questions you see on the screen. There are two of them. Number one says, closely examine the setting of the story and its contribution to our understanding of the novel. The setting, I've given you three concepts about the setting: time, place, and the social constituents. Closely examine the setting and tell its contribution to your own understanding of the novel. How has the setting enabled you to understand the story? That's what number one wants you to do. And number two, closely examine the use of quest motif in the novel. I gave you a hint when I was talking. You can refer to that part and listen carefully how to go about this particular question was hinted out in the presentation. So I want you to attempt these questions and send your answers via the platform the school has created for you. In the next presentation, we'll consider the central ideas in this novel, the themes the author has addressed in the novel, before we proceed to talk about the characterization and, of course, the events and their significance. So it's going to be a long journey, so I want you to follow it as we progress. This is just the first part of the presentation. Until I come your way again, stay safe.